Admiral Marcus Vega stood alone on the circular platform, his weathered face illuminated by harsh alien lighting. Around him, in rising tiers of seats, sat the representatives of the Galactic Council. 27 species that controlled known space. Their strange appendages, scaled limbs, and tentacled extremities gestured in animated discussion as they debated humanity's fate. The grand chamber of the council stretched upward into a dome of shifting colors that mimicked the galaxy itself. Each representative sat in ornate seats designed for their unique physiologies. Some floated in liquid chambers, others perched on crystalline structures, but all focused their attention on the lone human standing before them. "The evidence is irrefutable," boomed Ambassador Searthol, his translucent skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns of aggression. "Humanity's genetic makeup contains markers identical to the precursor strain. They are descendants of the destroyers." Marcus maintained his composure as murmurs rippled through the chamber. Earth had only achieved faster-than-light travel 3 decades ago, and now faced extinction based on ancient genetic markers they didn't even know they carried. "We request time to present our defense," Marcus stated, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. High Counselor Drev rose, her crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. "Defense? Your very existence violates the covenant of preservation. The Council has voted. Humanity is to be quarantined to their solar system immediately. All human vessels beyond Sol must surrender. All colonies will be evacuated and humanity contained." Marcus's hand subtly moved to his pocket, activating the quantum transmitter. The Council didn't know that humanity had prepared for this possibility. While they deliberated here, Earth's prototype stealth fleet was already mobilizing under Operation Phoenix. "High Counselor," Marcus said, his voice resonating with unexpected authority, "humanity respectfully rejects your judgment." The chamber erupted in outrage as hidden panels in Marcus's uniform began glowing with strange symbols, precursor script, that even the Council couldn't fully decipher. The Admiral's eyes reflected an ancient knowledge as the symbols pulsed with increasing intensity. "You fear us because you do not understand us," Marcus continued as the Council guards moved to apprehend him. "But you are right about one thing. We are not like you." As the guards reached the platform, Marcus smiled. Behind him, a holographic display activated, showing Earth's orbital defenses coming online. Technology that should be centuries beyond human capability. "You've made a grave miscalculation," Marcus said as the guards froze in shock. "You should have killed us all when you had the chance." Back on Earth, Director Eliza Reeves watched the transmission from the Council chambers with a grim expression. The war room beneath the Rocky Mountains buzzed with activity as military personnel rushed to their stations. Screens displayed the positions of human ships throughout the galaxy, many already going dark as they implemented stealth protocols. "They made their choice," Eliza said to General Jack Torres beside her. "Activate precursor protocol." Jack nodded, his face tight with tension. "How long have we known this was coming?" "Since we first decoded the Martian ruins," Eliza replied, pressing her palm against a scanner. A hidden panel slid open, revealing an ancient device of unknown origin. 20 years of preparation. I just hoped we'd have more time." The device hummed to life, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy with thousands of points highlighted in red. Ancient artifacts scattered across the stars waiting to be awakened. "Begin the evacuation of outlying colonies," she ordered, "and send the signal to our sleeper agents within Council space." Across the galaxy, human ships received encrypted messages. Captains opened sealed orders and nodded to their crews. Colony governors initiated emergency protocols, rushing their people to hidden bunkers and ships. The exodus had begun. On the distant mining colony of New Horizon, Governor Thomas Reed watched as his people boarded the evacuation ships. Families clutched whatever possessions they could carry, their faces a mixture of fear and determination. "Governor, Council ships have entered the system," his aide reported. Thomas nodded. "How long until all civilians are evacuated?" 20 minutes minimum." "We don't have 20 minutes." Thomas turned to the commander of their defense force. "Activate the pulse satellites. Buy us time." In orbit, dormant satellites suddenly powered up, releasing electromagnetic pulses that disabled the approaching Council vessels. The technology shouldn't have been possible for humans to develop, but it worked perfectly. Thomas touched his communicator. This is Governor Reed to all personnel. Execute scorched earth protocols. Leave nothing for them to study. Workers began destroying equipment and data centers, erasing any evidence of what they had discovered beneath the colony, an ancient precursor outpost that had taught them far more than the Council could imagine. In the Council chambers, Marcus was being restrained by guards as High Counselor Drev approached him. "You've made a terrible mistake," she said. "We offered you containment out of mercy. Now you will face extinction." Marcus laughed, a sound that sent chills through the chamber. "You still don't understand what you're dealing with. We're not just humans anymore." His eyes suddenly glowed with an inner light, and several council members gasped in recognition. "Precursor awakening," whispered one of the elder members. "It's not possible." "Everything you feared about the destroyers," Marcus said, his voice now overlaid with harmonics that made the air vibrate. "You created in us through your actions today." Screens around the chamber suddenly activated, showing human ships engaging council blockades throughout the galaxy. Despite being outnumbered, the human vessels moved with impossible precision, their weapons cutting through council defenses with ease. "How?" demanded Shirthal. "Your technology was primitive just years ago." "We found something on Mars," Marcus replied. "Then on Europa. Then on a dozen worlds you never bothered to explore thoroughly. The precursors left their legacy for someone to find. We found it." Counselor Azra, a gaseous entity contained within a hovering sphere, drifted forward. The quarantine vote was not unanimous. Some of us argued for cooperation rather than isolation. "It's too late for that," Marcus said. "The die is cast." On a central display, a formal message appeared, transmitted simultaneously to every world in Council space. To the Galactic Council and all sentient species under its governance. For the crime of attempted genocide based on genetic heritage, Earth and all human colonies hereby declare a state of war against the Council. Any non-human worlds wishing to declare neutrality have 48 hours to transmit their intentions to human command. All others will be considered hostile territories. The judgment you passed upon us we now return in kind. Humanity will no longer be bound by your laws or borders. We claim our rightful place among the stars not as supplicants, but as inheritors. The message was signed. The Human Fleet Collective, descendants of the precursors. As Marcus was taken away by council guards, he made no resistance. His mission was complete. Across the galaxy, hidden human operatives were already activating precursor technology that had lain dormant for millennia. Colony ships were jumping to coordinates unknown to the Council, where they would regroup and prepare. On Earth, Director Eliza Reeves watched as the first Council probe ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Earth's new defense grid, a combination of human ingenuity and awakened precursor technology, waited silently. "They expect us to be defenseless," she said to her staff. "Let's show them how wrong they are." The first wave of Council ships entered firing range, and Earth's defenses lit up the darkness of space. The war had begun, and humanity would either rise to become a galactic power or face extinction. But as Eliza watched the battle unfold, she knew a secret that even most humans didn't yet understand. Their connection to the precursors was more than just finding their technology. The truth was in their DNA, in abilities that were only now beginning to manifest. The Council had feared the return of the destroyers for thousands of years. In their effort to prevent it, they had just created exactly what they feared most. Captain Thomas Reyes stood on the bridge of the stealth carrier Defiance, watching the massive Council patrol fleet through the viewport. His ship, along with 3 other human vessels, hid within the dense asteroid field of the Ceres system. Their heat signatures were masked, their power systems running on minimal output. To any Council scanners, they were just more rocks floating in the endless dark. "Status report," Tomas whispered, though the Council ships were too far away to hear anything. Lieutenant Amara Diallo checked her console. "All systems nominal, Captain. The Council fleet hasn't changed course. They have no idea we're here." The bridge of the Defiance was dimly lit to conserve energy, the crew's faces illuminated only by the glow of essential instruments. After 3 weeks of hiding, tensions ran high. "Message from the Phantom," Communications Officer Patel said. "They've completed their scans of the Council flagship. Transmitting data now." Thomas nodded as the information appeared on his personal screen. The Council fleet was carrying something important. Shipments of rare minerals and precursor artifacts being transported to their research facilities. "A perfect target," Signal the fleet, Tomas ordered. Execute attack pattern Omega in 30 minutes. Let's show these aliens what happens when they try to cage humanity. As his crew prepared for battle, Thomas studied the tactical display. 4 human ships against 14 Council vessels. On paper, it was suicide. But the Council didn't know about the modifications they'd made using precursor technology, or the new combat strategies they'd developed specifically to counter Council tactics. For Earth, Thomas said softly, for all of us scattered among the stars. On the Council capital world of Axiom Prime, Councillor Virlak moved carefully through the underground tunnels beneath the governmental district. The Residian's 4 eyes constantly scanned for surveillance devices as he made his way to the secret meeting point. When he reached the hidden chamber, 3 figures were already waiting, a human woman and 2 other alien beings from worlds that had secretly sympathized with Earth. Were you followed? Asked the human, Major Diana Foster, her hand resting near her concealed weapon. No, Virlak replied. But security has been increased throughout the capital. The Council is growing paranoid as more human victories are reported. The Tellurian representative, a being of living crystal named Shardlight, tilted his faceted head. The attack on the Vega shipping lanes has caused panic among the merchant guilds. 3 major trading houses have already declared neutrality in this conflict. Good, Diana said. That's exactly what we want, to fracture their unity. What information do you have for us, Counselor? Virlak handed her a small data crystal. The coordinates of every detention facility where they're holding human prisoners from the colonies. Also the patrol schedules for the next month. Diana took the crystal, her eyes hard. And what do you want in return? The same as before, Virlak said. When humanity establishes its new order, my people want independence from Council rule. We were forced into the Covenant centuries ago. We want our freedom. Diana nodded. If you continue to help us, you'll have it. Director Reeves keeps her promises. As they finalized their plans, none of them noticed the tiny surveillance drone hidden in a crack in the ceiling, its single lens recording everything. In Earth orbit, the newly constructed defense platform Aegis hummed with activity as engineers and scientists worked to integrate precursor technology with human systems. Dr. Lyra, Quan floated in zero gravity beside an open access panel, carefully manipulating the crystal components within. Power levels are stabilizing, she reported to her team. The shield generators are now operating at 200% of projected capacity. Director Eliza Reeves watched from a nearby observation window. How long until the entire network is operational? 3 days, maybe 4, Lyra replied. We're learning as we go. The precursor technology responds differently depending on who's working with it. Some of our engineers seem to have a natural affinity that speeds up the integration process. Eliza nodded. The genetic markers. It's just as the Mars archives predicted. A lieutenant approached with an urgent message. Director, we've just received word from our deep space probes. A Council armada has been detected moving toward the Sol system, at least 50 capital ships. How long do we have? 5 days at their current speed. Eliza's face showed no fear, only determination. Then we have time. Continue the preparations, and send word to Admiral Vega's operative. We need that intelligence now. In uncharted space beyond Council territories, the survey ship Pathfinder drifted into orbit around an unmarked planetoid. Captain James Olson stared in awe at the readings on his screen. It's definitely precursor in origin, his science officer confirmed, and it's massive. The entire planetoid seems to be a constructed facility. James could hardly believe what they'd found. For months they'd been following fragmented data from ancient star charts, searching for anything that might help humanity in its war against the Council. This discovery exceeded their wildest hopes. Begin landing procedures, he ordered, and send a coded message back to Earth. Tell them we've found it, a precursor shipyard. The facility had been abandoned for millennia, but as the first human explorers set foot inside, lights began to activate automatically, systems coming online after eons of dormancy. The precursor technology recognized something in their genetic code, responding to their presence in ways it never had for the other species who had stumbled upon it in the past. James placed his hand on a central control panel, and the entire facility illuminated around them, holographic displays springing to life to show thousands of ship designs and weapon schematics that could change the course of the war. It recognizes us, James whispered. It was waiting for us. On Mars, the Council attack came without warning. Orbital bombardment tore through the colony's outer domes, emergency barriers barely activating in time to prevent complete atmospheric loss. Colonial Governor Michael Tanner ordered immediate evacuation as enemy dropships descended toward the surface. "Get everyone to the emergency shelters," he commanded his security team. "Activate the underground transit system to the backup launch facilities." The Martian colonists had prepared for this possibility. While the Council troops secured what they thought was the main colony, thousands of humans were already being evacuated through hidden tunnels that led to concealed hangars on the far side of Olympus Mons. In his command center, Michael received a priority transmission from Earth. "Governor, this is Director Reeves. What's your status? Council forces have taken the main colony, but we've evacuated 86% of the population. The remaining personnel are security forces running delay actions. Can you hold for 6 hours?" Michael checked the tactical display. "Possibly. Why?" "The Jupiter fleet is on its way. We're going to hit them while they're focused on Mars. But I need something else from you. The Phobos facility must not fall into their hands." Michael's face grew grim. He knew what she was asking. "Understood. I'll handle it personally." The Phobos facility contained their most advanced precursor research, experiments too dangerous to conduct on Earth or the main Martian colony. If the Council obtained that research, they might finally understand the true nature of humanity's connection to the precursors. As the evacuation continued, Michael assembled a small team of volunteers. Their mission: reach Phobos, retrieve the critical research data, and destroy everything else. Admiral Marcus Vega sat in his Council prison cell, listening to the distant sounds of the space station around him. 3 weeks since his capture at the Council chambers, and his interrogators were growing frustrated with his silence. The door slid open, and High Inquisitor Zrel entered, a tall, spindly being with 6 upper limbs and skin that shifted colors with his emotions. Currently, he glowed a frustrated red. "You continue to resist our questioning, Admiral," Zrel said. "Yet you must know it's futile. The Council will crush your rebellion." Marcus smiled. "Is that why you're holding me on this station rather than taking me to a planetary facility? Because you're winning?" Zrel's skin flashed an angry orange. "Your ships are scattered. Your colonies are falling. It's only a matter of time." "Time," Marcus repeated thoughtfully. "An interesting concept. Tell me, have your scientists determined yet how our ships are able to predict your fleet movements? Or how we're bypassing your supposedly unbreakable encryption?" "Stolen technology," Zrel snapped. "Nothing more." Marcus leaned forward. "The precursors understood time differently than you do. They saw patterns, causality webs spreading across the galaxy. Some humans are beginning to see those patterns too." A distant alarm began to sound, and Zrel's color shifted to an anxious yellow. Marcus smiled again. "Right on schedule." As Zrel rushed from the cell, Marcus closed his eyes and focused his thoughts. Across the station, a human janitor, actually a deep-cover operative, received the telepathic signal he'd been waiting for. The time had come to break the Admiral out. The Council's greatest fear was coming true. Humans were not just using precursor technology, they were becoming more like the precursors themselves. And the abilities that had once made the precursors the most feared species in the galaxy were beginning to manifest in their human descendants. The escape pod tumbled through space, its systems barely functioning after the desperate flight from the Council prison station. Inside, Admiral Marcus Vega worked frantically to stabilize its trajectory, blood dripping from a wound on his forehead. The Council guards had not made his escape easy, but with the help of undercover operative Frank Miller, he had managed to break free during a carefully orchestrated power failure. "Mayday, Mayday," Marcus broadcast on an encrypted human frequency. "This is Admiral Vega. Authentication code Phoenix 7 Delta. Requesting immediate extraction." Static filled the communication system for long seconds before a response crackled through. "Authentication confirmed, Admiral. This is Captain Rivera of the Shadow Strike. Sending coordinates for rendezvous. ETA 12 minutes. Marcus allowed himself a small smile despite the pain. The timing was perfect, exactly as predicted by the precursor calculations. He pulled a small data crystal from a hidden compartment in his uniform and studied it in the dim emergency lighting of the pod. The intelligence he had gathered during his imprisonment would change the course of the war. The Council believed they were dealing with scattered human resistance, unaware that each human action was part of a larger strategy. Operation Phoenix was proceeding exactly as planned. As the stealth ship Shadow Strike appeared from the darkness, its advanced cloaking technology making it nearly invisible until the last moment, Marcus prepared for docking. The next phase of humanity's resistance was about to begin. In a hidden laboratory buried deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, Dr. Lyra Kwan stood surrounded by holographic displays showing complex DNA sequences. Teams of scientists worked at various stations around the vast chamber, studying artifacts recovered from precursor sites across the galaxy. "The sequencing is complete," Lyra announced to Director Reeves, who had just entered the facility. "We've isolated the specific genetic markers that connect humans to the precursors. It's more significant than we initially believed." Eliza approached the central display, studying the rotating DNA model. "Explain." "The precursors didn't just leave their technology behind," Lyra said. "They encoded knowledge directly into human DNA, dormant until now. The genetic memory contains information about their history, their technology, even their cognitive abilities. Is that why some humans can activate precursor artifacts while others can't?" Lyra nodded. "Exactly. The markers are present in all humans, but they're more pronounced in certain bloodlines. With the right stimulus, we can activate these dormant sections in anyone. And the process you've developed?" "It's ready for testing," Lyra confirmed. "We call it the Awakening Protocol. It should allow any human to access the genetic memory encoded within them. But there are risks. The human mind wasn't designed to process this much information all at once." Eliza's face was grim but determined. "Begin with volunteers from military personnel. We need every advantage we can get. The Council fleet has surrounded 3 more of our colony worlds." As they spoke, a communication officer rushed in. "Director, we're receiving reports of a major engagement in the Antares sector. Our forces have engaged the Council's 3rd Fleet." Eliza moved quickly to the command center adjacent to the laboratory. On the tactical display, human ships were executing maneuvers that should have been impossible given their known technology levels. "Status report," she demanded. "The Defiance battle group is leading the assault," the tactical officer reported. "They've deployed the new quantum disruptors. Council shields are failing across their fleet." Eliza watched as human ships, outnumbered 3-1, systematically dismantled the Council forces. It was humanity's first major victory against a superior Council fleet, and it was happening exactly as their strategists had predicted. "Send reinforcements from the Jupiter Defense Group," Eliza ordered. "I want that sector secured within 12 hours. And prepare a broadcast to all human worlds and outposts. It's time to announce the formation of the Human Fleet Collective." Captain Thomas Reyes stood on the bridge of the Defiance, surveying the aftermath of the battle. The remains of Council ships drifted through space around them, while engineering teams worked to repair the damage his vessel had sustained. "Casualty report," he requested. Lieutenant Amara Diallo consulted her display. 17 dead, 43 wounded across the battle group. "We lost the frigate Harrier, but most of her crew was evacuated." Thomas nodded solemnly. Any loss of life was significant, but compared to what the Council had suffered, they had achieved an overwhelming victory. The new weapons derived from precursor technology had proven even more effective than their simulations had predicted. "Captain," Communications Officer Patel called out, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. Director Reeves is addressing all human forces." "Put it on screen," Thomas ordered. The main display flickered to show Director Eliza Reeves standing in what appeared to be a new command center. Her expression was solemn but confident. "To all human ships, colonies, and outposts," she began. "Today marks a turning point in our conflict with the Galactic Council. The victory at Antares proves what we have known from the beginning. Humanity will not be contained. We will not be subjugated." The bridge crew listened intently as she continued. "Effective immediately. All human forces are being consolidated under a unified command structure, the Human Fleet Collective. No longer will we be scattered resistance groups. We are now one fleet, one force with one purpose, to secure humanity's rightful place among the stars." Eliza's voice grew stronger as she spoke. "The Council sought to judge us based on our genetic heritage. They feared what we might become. Today we embrace that heritage and the power it gives us. We are the descendants of the precursors, and we will reclaim our legacy." As she finished speaking, A new emblem appeared on the screen, a stylized phoenix rising from a field of stars, the symbol of the newly formed Human Fleet Collective. Thomas turned to his crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that he felt. Set course for the rendezvous coordinates. We're joining the fleet. On the Council homeworld of Axiom Prime, the emergency session of the High Council had devolved into chaos. Representatives shouted over one another as the latest battle reports were displayed on the central hologram. "How is this possible?" demanded Ambassador Zirthal. "They were a primitive species just decades ago. Their technology should be centuries behind ours." High Counselor Drev raised her crystalline arms for silence. "Our worst fears are being realized. The humans are not merely using precursor artifacts, they're understanding them, improving upon them. The genetic connection is stronger than our scientists believed possible." A new figure entered the chamber, General Vox of the Council Defense Force, his scaled body bearing fresh battle scars. "The situation is worse than you know," Vox announced, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. "We've detected communication between human forces and several worlds within Council space. There are sympathizers among us, sharing intelligence and resources with the humans." The chamber erupted again until Councillor Virlak spoke, his voice cutting through the noise. "Perhaps we should consider negotiation. This conflict is already stretching our resources thin. If we offered terms on negotiation," General Vox snarled. "With precursor descendants? Have you forgotten our history? The destroyers nearly wiped out all sentient life in the galaxy before they were defeated. If the humans truly carry their legacy, there can be no peace." High Counselor Drev studied Virlak carefully. "Your people have always been sympathetic to the humans, Counselor. One might question where your true loyalties lie." Before Virlak could respond, the chamber's security alarms activated. On every screen, the same image appeared, the phoenix emblem of the Human Fleet Collective, followed by a message that was broadcasting simultaneously across all Council communication channels. Admiral Marcus Vega's face appeared, his expression calm and determined. "To the Galactic Council and all worlds under its influence, your leaders have hidden the truth from you for centuries. The beings you know as the precursors, those your history calls the destroyers, were not conquerors. They were protectors." The Council members watched in shock as the broadcast continued, showing ancient records and artifacts that contradicted the official history taught throughout the galaxy. "The precursors fought to save all sentient life from a threat your leaders have kept secret," Marcus continued, "and when they could fight no longer, they left their legacy in the one species they believed could carry on their mission. Us." As the broadcast ended, the lights throughout the Council chamber flickered. In the darkness, Counselor Virlak slipped away unnoticed, his mission to gather intelligence complete. In the uncharted space beyond Council territories, the ancient precursor shipyard hummed with activity. What had once been a dead planetoid now blazed with light as thousands of human workers and engineers brought the facility back to life. James Olsen, now promoted to Admiral, stood in the central control chamber with Admiral Vega, who had arrived just hours earlier with the intelligence gathered during his imprisonment. "The facility is operating at 40% capacity," James reported. "We've already begun construction on the first wave of vessels. The designs are unlike anything we've ever seen, ships that can manipulate space-time itself, The command deck of the Phoenix, flagship of the Human Fleet Collective, buzzed with activity as Admiral Marcus Vega studied the strategic display. The massive vessel, constructed using advanced precursor technology, dwarfed even the largest Council warships. Its sleek obsidian hull absorbed rather than reflected light, making it appear as a moving shadow against the stars. "Status report," Marcus ordered, his eyes never leaving the holographic map showing fleet positions throughout the contested sectors. "All battle groups report ready." "Admiral," Commander Olivia Maxwell replied. "The Council forces at the Arcturus wormhole have been reinforced, but our intelligence suggests they're stretched thin across multiple fronts. Around them, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. 6 months into the war, and the Human Fleet Collective had grown from scattered resistance groups into a formidable force. What had begun as humanity's desperate struggle for survival had evolved into something the Council never expected, a legitimate threat to their millennia of unchallenged rule." "And our new allies?" Marcus asked. The Residian and Tellurian fleets have taken position here and here, Olivia indicated on the map. They're awaiting your signal. The Novin Mining Guild has also pledged their support, giving us access to their jump corridors. Marcus nodded with satisfaction. More species were defecting from the Council each week as the truth about precursor history spread across the galaxy. What had started as humanity's war was becoming a galactic revolution. Begin Operation Starbreak, Marcus commanded. All ships execute jump sequence on my mark. Throughout the fleet, jump drives powered up, tearing holes in the fabric of space-time. The largest coordinated attack in human history was about to begin. The battle for the Arcturus wormhole nexus, the crucial junction that controlled travel between Council sectors. For Earth, Marcus said as the stars around them blurred, for all who seek freedom from Council lies. On the recently liberated colony world of Horizon Prime, Director Eliza Reeves walked through the underground complex that housed the most important discovery of the war. Scientists and engineers worked around a massive cylindrical chamber at the center of the facility, carefully monitoring the energy readings from the artifact within. Dr. Lyra Kwan approached, datapad in hand. The activation sequence is complete. It's fully operational now. Eliza stared through the transparent walls of the chamber at the hovering metallic sphere inside. Its surface was covered with shifting patterns of light that seemed to follow no logical pattern, yet created a sense of order that the human mind could almost, but not quite comprehend. Are we certain this is safe? Eliza asked. As certain as we can be, Lyra replied. The precursor archives we found on Mars described it as a nexus mind, an artificial intelligence designed to coordinate their war effort against the greater threat. It's been dormant for millennia, waiting for the genetic key only a precursor descendant could provide. Eliza nodded, remembering the moment when Marcus had placed his hand on the sphere, how it had responded to his touch, recognizing the ancient DNA markers that all humans carried. And it will help us? It already is, Lyra said, showing Eliza the datapad. The Nexus Mind has analyzed all Council defense patterns and developed countermeasures. It's also accelerating our understanding of precursor technology. The new ships being built at the shipyard are twice as advanced as our first models. A communication officer rushed into the chamber. Director, we're receiving reports from the Arcturus sector. The battle has begun. Eliza moved quickly to the command center, where a real-time tactical display showed the massive engagement unfolding around the wormhole nexus. Human ships, alongside their new allies, clashed with Council forces in a battle that would determine control of a quarter of the galaxy. The Council deployed their dreadnoughts, the tactical officer reported. They've committed over half their core fleet to this defense. Eliza watched as the battle unfolded, noticing how the human ships moved with incredible coordination, adapting instantly to Council tactics. Is that the Nexus Mind's influence? Yes, Lyra confirmed, joining her at the display. It's providing real-time strategic analysis and predictive modeling to our fleet commanders. The Council has nothing that can match it. As they watched, the tide of battle began to turn in humanity's favor. Council formations broke under the precision strikes of human vessels, their once impenetrable defenses falling to weapons based on precursor designs. We're winning, Eliza whispered. We're actually winning. In the Council emergency bunker beneath Axiom Prime, chaos reigned as reports of defeats poured in from across the galaxy. High Counselor Drev stood before the remaining loyal representatives, her crystalline form dulled with stress and fatigue. The wormhole nexus has fallen, she announced, her voice hollow. The human fleet now controls access to 7 major sectors. Our forces are in retreat across all fronts. General Vox slammed his scaled fist on the table. This is what comes of hesitation. We should have destroyed their homeworld when we had the chance. A planet-killer strike on Earth would have united every independent world against us, Counselor Azra countered, his gaseous form swirling with agitation within his containment sphere. The humans have exposed enough of our lies already. Lies that were necessary. Vox roared. If the galaxy knew what was coming, silence, Drev commanded. What's done is done. We must focus on the present crisis. A junior aide entered the chamber, approaching Drev with visible trepidation. High Counselor, we've detected unusual activity in the ancient archives. Someone has accessed the sealed records, the Omega Protocols. The room fell silent. The Omega Protocols were the Council's most closely guarded secret. Contingency plans developed millennia ago for the possible return of the threat that the precursors had fought against. It appears, Trev said slowly, that our hand is being forced. Prepare to implement the Sundering Initiative. General Vox's eyes widened. The forbidden weapons? I would risk anything, Trev interrupted, to prevent the humans from gaining full precursor capabilities. If they truly awaken what sleeps in their DNA, all our efforts will have been for nothing. The cycle will begin again. As the Council prepared their desperate measures, none of them noticed the small surveillance device hidden in the ventilation system, transmitting everything to their enemies. On the bridge of the Defiance, now one of dozens of advanced human warships, Captain Thomas Reyes received the encrypted transmission from the spy network within the Council capital. Send this to Admiral Vega immediately, he ordered. Priority Alpha. His communications officer nodded, relaying the data through the secure quantum network that connected all human fleet collective vessels. Thomas turned to his tactical display, where the battle for one of Earth's former colony worlds was entering its final phase. After months of occupation, Council forces were being driven from New Terra, the planet's population rising up to aid the Liberation Fleet. Status of planetary defense grid? He asked. Council control nodes have been neutralized, Lieutenant Amara reported. Colonial resistance forces have seized the main garrison. The planet is ours, Captain. Throughout the ship, cheers erupted as the news spread. New Terra was the 5th human colony liberated in the past month. The momentum of the war had shifted dramatically since the activation of the Nexus Mind and the alliance with former Council worlds. Captain, Communications Officer Patel called out, incoming transmission from the Phoenix. Admiral Vega is addressing all fleet commanders. The main screen activated to show Marcus Vega's face, his expression grave despite their recent victories. Attention all vessels of the Human Fleet Collective, he began. Our intelligence network has confirmed our worst fears. The Council is preparing to deploy forbidden weapons against Earth, planet killer, technology that violates their own covenant of preservation. Silence fell across the bridge as he continued. We have also learned the truth behind their fear of the precursors. The beings our ancestors fought, the reason they encoded their knowledge in our DNA, was not a threat from within our galaxy, but from beyond it. The Council has known of this extragalactic threat for millennia, and has been preparing only their own worlds for its eventual return. Marcus's eyes hardened. The time for limited engagement is over. Operation Prometheus will commence in 72 hours. All vessels are to proceed to their designated rally points. We take the fight directly to Axiom Prime. As the transmission ended, Thomas looked around at his crew. They had all lost friends, family members, homes to the Council's attempt to contain humanity. Now they would strike at the heart of the power that had judged them unworthy of existence. Set course for the rally point, Thomas ordered. Prepare all systems for maximum combat readiness. The Defiance's engines flared to life as it turned toward its new destination. The final phase of the war was about to begin. In the hidden laboratory beneath the Himalayan mountains, Dr. Lyra Kwan stood before a group of human volunteers, soldiers, pilots, and engineers who had agreed to undergo the awakening protocol. The procedure to activate the dormant precursor genetic memory had been refined over months of research, becoming safer and more effective with each iteration. The Phoenix emerged from hyperspace above Axiom Prime, leading a fleet of over 200 vessels. The jewel of the Galactic Council, a world of crystalline spires and orbital rings that had stood as the center of interstellar governance for millennia, now lay before them, its defenses fully activated and ready for the coming assault. Admiral Marcus Vega stood on the bridge of his flagship, the culmination of precursor technology and human innovation. Around him, his crew operated with the heightened awareness that came from the awakening protocol, their movements precise, their decisions backed by the genetic memory of their ancestors. Council Defense Fleet is moving to intercept, reported Commander Olivia Maxwell, her eyes flickering with the subtle glow that marked all who had undergone the protocol. 96 capital ships supported by approximately 300 smaller vessels. Marcus nodded, feeling the presence of the Nexus Mind at the edge of his consciousness, its vast intelligence analyzing countless variables and calculating optimal strategies. Unlike true artificial intelligence, the precursor creation worked in harmony with human thought, enhancing rather than replacing it. And our allies? He asked. The Residian and Tellurian fleets are in position, Olivia confirmed. The Rebel Council factions have disabled the planetary shield generators on the southern continent. We have a window. Marcus studied the tactical display where the final battle of the war was about to unfold. He had received the desperate message from Earth hours ago. The Council's sundering weapon was approaching, and Earth's defenses might not hold. Their only hope was to strike directly at the Council leadership and force a surrender before Earth could be destroyed. All vessels, Marcus commanded, his voice carrying to every ship in the human fleet. This is the moment we've fought for. Today we end the Council's reign of lies and secure humanity's place among the stars. For Earth, for all free worlds. The fleet surged forward, weapon systems powering up as they approached the Council's defensive line. The battle for Axiom Prime had begun. On Earth, the orbital defense grid blazed with energy as it engaged the approaching Council strike force. The precursor-enhanced weapons tore through the smaller enemy vessels. But the sundering platform continued its inexorable approach, protected by the most powerful shields the Council possessed. In the command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Director Eliza Reeves coordinated the desperate defense. The latest reports from the space battle appeared on the main display, showing both victories and losses as Earth's guardians fought to protect their homeworld. The sundering platform has breached the outer defense perimeter, reported Defense Coordinator Wilson. Estimated time to weapon range, 17 minutes. Eliza's face remained composed despite the gravity of the situation. Status of evacuation? Proceeding as ordered. Priority transports are launching from all major spaceports. Approximately 12 million civilians evacuated so far. It wasn't nearly enough, and everyone knew it. Earth's population numbered in the billions. If the sundering weapon deployed, most would perish in the planetary cataclysm that would follow. Director, called a communications officer. Incoming transmission from the Defiance. They've broken through the Council blockade. The main screen shifted to show Captain Thomas Reyes on the bridge of his vessel. His uniform scorched and a cut visible on his forehead. Director Reeves, we've reached Earth space with the Third Fleet, he reported, engaging the Council strike force now. New icons appeared on the tactical display as human warships emerged from hyperspace behind the Council vessels, catching them in a devastating crossfire. The Defiance led the assault, its advanced weapons focusing on the sundering platform's escort ships. Well done, Captain, Eliza said, relief evident in her voice. The sundering platform is the primary target. It must not reach deployment range. Understood, Thomas replied. We'll stop it or die trying. As the reinforcements joined the battle, the momentum began to shift. Council ships caught between Earth's defense grid and the arriving fleet found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned. But the sundering platform continued its approach, its massive form pushing relentlessly toward Earth despite the chaos around it. Its purpose was singular, the destruction of humanity's homeworld, and nothing would deter it from that mission. In the Council chambers on Axiom Prime, High Counselor Drev watched in dismay as reports of the human fleet's arrival poured in. Emergency alarms sounded throughout the governmental district as planetary defenses engaged the attackers. How did they break through our outer defenses so quickly? Demanded General Vox, his scaled skin flushed with anger. They had help, Drev replied coldly, looking at the empty seats where representatives of the Residian and Tellurian worlds should have been, traitors within our own ranks. The floor shook as something impacted nearby, dust falling from the ornate ceiling of the ancient chamber. The sounds of battle were growing closer. The secure evacuation ships are ready, High Counselor, an aide reported. We must leave immediately. Drev nodded, but before she could move toward the exit, the massive doors of the chamber burst open. Human soldiers poured in, their weapons trained on the remaining Council members. Behind them walked Admiral Marcus Vega, his uniform bearing the Phoenix emblem of the Human Fleet Collective. High Counselor Drev, Marcus said, his voice echoing in the suddenly silent chamber. In the name of Earth and all free worlds, I place you under arrest for crimes against sentient life. Drev drew herself up to her full height, her crystalline form catching the light. You have no authority here, human. This chamber has stood for 10,000 years. Your rebellion is nothing but a momentary disruption in the cosmic order. The cosmic order? Marcus laughed. You mean the lies you've maintained for millennia? About the precursors? About the threat from beyond the galaxy? He approached the central dais where Drev stood, his steps measured and confident. Around them, the other council members were being secured by human soldiers. Call off the attack on Earth, Marcus demanded. Order the sundering platform to stand down. It's too late, Drev replied. The command was given. It cannot be countermanded. Earth will fall, and with it the dangerous potential your species represents. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Then you've sealed your fate as well as your world's. He activated his communicator. Phoenix Actual to all ships. Execute Phase 2. Throughout the Axiom system, human ships that had bypassed the main battle activated specialized weapons, not designed to destroy, but to disrupt. Energy pulses rippled across the planet's surface, targeting specific technological nodes that the Nexus Mind had identified as critical to Council control. In the chamber, Drev gasped as her connection to the planetary network suddenly vanished. All around the capital, Council technology began to fail as the disruptor pulses did their work. What have you done? She whispered. We've severed your control, Marcus replied. Your technology, your weapons, your power, all built on precursor foundations that you never fully understood. We do. As he spoke, the chamber's central holographic display activated, showing the battle at Earth. The human fleet had surrounded the sundering platform, their combined firepower focusing on a single point in its defensive shields, a weakness that only the Nexus Mind could have identified. Watch, Marcus said. Watch as your final attempt to destroy us fails. The Defiance shuddered as enemy fire impacted its shields, but Captain Thomas Reyes maintained his focus on the target. The sundering platform loomed before them, its massive weapon array beginning to glow as it prepared to fire. All power to forward shields, Thomas ordered. Prepare for ramming speed. His crew exchanged glances but followed his commands without hesitation. They trusted their captain, especially now that the Awakening Protocol had enhanced his strategic thinking with precursor insight. The other ships are in position, Lieutenant Amara reported. Ready on your mark, Thomas took a deep breath. For Earth, all ships, execute spear formation. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, forming a wedge with the Defiance at its tip. Together, they accelerated toward the precise weakness in the sundering platform's defenses, their combined energy fields creating a penetrating force that the Council's engineers had never anticipated. The impact was catastrophic. The Defiance's reinforced prow pierced the enemy shields, creating an opening that the following ships exploited. Within seconds, the platform's defenses collapsed entirely. All ships break off and clear the blast radius, Thomas commanded as the Defiance pulled away, its hull scorched but intact. Fire antimatter warheads. The fleet scattered as missiles streaked toward the now vulnerable sundering platform. The resulting explosion illuminated Earth orbit like a newborn star. The Council's planet-killer weapon reduced to scattered atoms. Cheers erupted across the Defiance's bridge as the tactical display confirmed their success. Earth was saved. And from the reports coming in from Axiom Prime, the war was all but won. 1 month later, representatives from 100 worlds gathered in the same council chamber, where humanity had once been judged unworthy of existence. The chamber had been transformed, its hierarchy of